Trisha claimed while during her time on Frenemies that she heard voices. She made it a point to argue that they weren't intrusive thoughts and were in fact conversations that she was having with people and animals, stating that it related to her mental illness. She specifically states that it came out of nowhere and she developed it in her 30s.
Especially mental illness. So many people come to me and like, oh, you don't have this, it's not this. And like with voices, when I was talking about voices in my head on Frenemies, you know, it was shut down with, you know, those are just, what's the word? Intrusive thoughts. And I'm like, no, these aren't, there's people standing in front of me. That's, you know, there's animals, there's a dog next to me, like it's happening. And so I don't like when people just have like stuff to say, you know, it's just a lot.
So I'm guessing, does the antipsychotic help with the auditory hallucinations?
Yeah, tremendously. Those recently, those were recent for me. And that's the other thing, you know, people are like, oh, you developed this at 33. I was like, yeah, kind of. Like, I don't know where these came from. And they're very vivid and they're more than intrusive thoughts. They're just conversations. They're bells. I hear that, you know, I'll hear a door, but like it's a lot. It's just a lot right now.
Not to make this about myself, but the video is really just about people struggling with my wall to wall is about my personal hearing voices in my head.
And now on top of that, these voices in my head and stuff like that, like it's just a lot.
I definitely need to get on medication for like voices, because like the voices were telling me like, you know, like you ruined it, like Moses is gonna leave you. You know, the internet now knows that, you know, it's imposters, fraud, because they thought you were doing so good, but look at you now, you just crashed us, like.
More my life. That is the multiple personalities in me. I don't even know what's coming out. Seriously, sometimes I don't know. Like I've been hearing voices in my head lately and I'm just like, oh, are those me or are those something else? Are those demons? Sometimes I hear demons at night at like the 4 a.m. I know it's past the witching hour, which is 3 a.m., but at 4 a.m. I hear the demon voices and I'm like, oh my God. I'm not someone
there's
who's
nothing
like
to fear.
Convinced there's heaven, there's hell. Like I'm not someone like that. All I know is there's demons and evil like spirits here on earth. Like I've heard them.
You think
I've seen
evil
them.
spirits?
Like I've had conversations with them. Like I'm not scared of them. Now that I hear them, like I talked to someone about it. Now that I hear them, I'm not so scared of them. It's more like recognizing that those are demon voices and not good voices, because they sound like good voice. They sound like just regular voices in your head. Like, oh, this. So when they say, oh, there's a window, like jump out of it. Like it sounds to me, it sounds like my voice and it sounds personally rational. It's like, well, that window's open for a reason. Like, why wouldn't you just jump out of that right now? So it's like those kind of voices, and recognizing that there's some demonic things going on that like I can't really control. Those are like some other voices coming to me. Like that's.
Are you in therapy about these things?
Yeah, it's like because I thought I was schizo. I'm like maybe I'm a paranoid schizophrenic. Like I don't know. Like that's the only thing that voices are tied to really. And so I hear them like so often, and like you really like not being able to recognize that they're demons or just denying that they're demons is like a really scary and dangerous thing for me. Like if I thought those were my voices, I would just go ahead and listen to them, which I have in the past. So, because like I never had those before, like up until like a few years ago, I never had them. And then they kind of went away for a little bit. And now they're like back in full force, which is so weird because I'm like so happy. Like I really am so happy in life. So it's like so odd that those voices come up. You're just like, what the heck?
Recently diagnosed, so don't come for me. Trying to cope with hearing voices. Where my other PS at?
She makes it very clear that this is a new development in her life, having never heard voices before. However, on another episode of Frenemies, she seems to forget that she said this when she begins to tell Ethan that she's been hearing voices since she was a child.
You know what? Yeah. I've literally like been like the voices in my head for so long. They're worse than the voices on the internet. So like I can take it. You know what I mean? Like I've been hearing like shit talking in my head since I was like 5 years old. So I'm like, oh, this is like nothing.
If I'm telling myself that, does it count as a voice?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm like, I'm fat. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, mine are like voices in my head.
They're like actual people, other people.
Yeah, and I've had that for like my whole life.
However, a year prior to Frenemies, Trisha made it clear that she didn't hear voices.
I don't hear voices and I don't see shapes or anything.
And even earlier than that, she confessed that she likes to pretend that she hears voices, because she discovered that Marilyn Monroe did.
Hey guys, happy Monday! Traveling with this little one right here. My mommy, my mother. I feel like I'm Marilyn now, so I'm going to pretend my mom's like crazy. I'm like, oh mother, you don't mean that. I'm just going to start talking like her.
Fine, then I have to go put my nurse's uniform on.
Oh my God!
The patients.
Go make the rounds. I'm still so obsessed. I told you guys about this last week. I'm still so obsessed with that Marilyn movie. Like, I feel like I'm Marilyn now. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I hear voices in my head. It's so crazy. Although my mom's not quite as crazy, but I like to pretend that it is in my own head. But
So, which is it? Did Trisha barely begin to hear voices during her time on Frenemies? Did she hear them since she was a child? Or does she only like to pretend to for attention? We think the answer is pretty clear.